Hello, brothers and sisters. Hey, thanks for joining me today. I came across this story that caught my interest, and it's out of the Minnesota Star Tribune. And it's a little old. It's from 2020. I think it's applicable to the stuff that's been going on in Minnesota recently. I've seen a lot of people trying to say that the problem in the schools has to do with guns, and the problem in the schools has to do with Trump and such. But I haven't seen very many people saying that Minnesota or Minneapolis really have any culpability in the matter. And so I just want to shine a little light on that. So I came across this story. Minneapolis Public Schools terminates contract with police department over George Floyd's death. So this is from 2020, so it's about 5 years old. And so they haven't had school resource officers for the last 5 years, I believe. It looks that way. So the district must come up with a new safety plan by mid-August. And I don't know what they did. Maybe they did something. Let's read this story and see what it has to say. Minneapolis Public Schools has severed its decades-long relationship with the city's police department in response to the death of George Floyd in police custody. The school board voted unanimously Tuesday to terminate the MPD's contract to provide school resource officers. The district will cease further negotiations with the department, and Superintendent Ed Graff must come up with a new plan for school safety by the board's August 18th meeting. I value people and education and life, school board chairwoman Kim Ellison said in an interview. Now I'm convinced, based on these actions of the Minneapolis Police Department, that we don't have the same values. I firmly believe that it is completely unnatural to have police in schools, school board member Kimberly Caprini said during the meeting. In a statement, MPD Deputy Chief Eric Fors said they will continue to work with MPS on security and safety issues. The relationships that were built were impactful not only for the students and staff, but also for the officers who were calling to work with our young through mentorship and engagement. The Minneapolis and St. Paul school districts have long faced criticism over the use of school resource officers, with both seeking to transform the role to be more of a mentor than an enforcer. In 2018 and 19, a Minneapolis public school survey gave mostly positive marks to the officers, but the data also showed the school cops had more interactions with black students than with peers. And see, there's actually the problem. People always make this about race. Most parents just want the resource officers. And you know what? Call me a racist, and I'm sure you will. But if black students are having more interactions, maybe it's because they're causing more trouble. We can't immediately jump to it's all that the officers are racist, and I think that's what we saw during the defund the police. The state's third largest school district has contracted with Minneapolis Police since 1967, a spokeswoman said. Except from 2004 to 2009, when it worked with Park Police. Under the current contract, the district was paying Minneapolis Police $1.1 million annually for its services. Earlier Tuesday, a few hundred people, including Democratic Rep. Ilhan Omar, gathered outside the district's headquarters to voice support for the move. Police brutality doesn't just happen in the streets here in Minneapolis. It happens in our schools, Omar said. Enough is enough. A group of North Hill school students spoke against the removal of the officers. Now, that's bad when students want to keep them. Their school resource officer, who's also their football coach, is like a father, they said. With SROs being gone, nobody's going to feel safe at school, one of the students said. Board member Carrie Jo Felder offered an amendment during Tuesday's meeting to give North and Henry high schools the option to keep their officers. It failed. Ellison noted that police response time will be slower without the resource officers if an incident occurs, but she said this is a matter of values. So, no, I completely disagree. It's not a matter of values. This is a matter of virtue signaling. The George Floyd thing was awful. Some cops were out of line, and I think they've been prosecuted now and some of them went to jail. But because of that, the movement demonized all cops and tried to defund all police. And then we've seen what happens when you defund police and you demonize police, you have higher crime. It's a direct result, 100%. There's no way anyone can convince me that that's not the case. So you really need these police. And now I saw a quote, the the police chief said, most parents want the resource officers back. Of course they do, because in today's world, we can't hide our head in the sand and say bad things are never going to happen. There are lots of guns out there. So not even just talking about student interactions. With all the guns that are out there, mentally ill people, like the guy who went into the Catholic school and shot it up this week, are going to go into schools and shoot them up because they're gun-free zones. Which is another thing, we need to get rid of the gun-free zones. It's silly. Criminals and crazy people don't abide by gun-free zone laws. So the whole thing is ludicrous to me. But anyway, I digress. So we need the resource officers back because then we've got protection in the schools. The schools where I live, in my school district, they hire one police officer. His whole job is to be at the school while it's open. So he directs traffic in the morning, and then he goes in and parks himself in the school for the rest of the day. That's all he does. So basically, they have a resource officer, and his car is parked outside, so people know he's in there. And I'm sure they've done other security things too. So removing armed security when there is a real threat of a gun crime is silly. And yes, police officers who are already there are going to be quicker to respond than police officers that aren't. And actual uniformed, sworn law enforcement officers will always be superior to security guards. They have much more protection and training under the law when it comes to these sorts of incidents. And they have arrest powers that the security guards don't have. And so, yes, put the resource officers back, Minneapolis School District. Stop virtue signaling over the George Floyd thing. All right, let me know what you think. Like and subscribe if you like this. If you didn't like me, don't watch me. And let me know in the comments if you think I'm way off base on this, but I don't think I am. I think defund police and pulling officers out of school is a fool's errand when there are so many guns in this country. Like it or not, it's a fact, it's reality, and we have to live in the real world, not in the world that we want. Thanks, bye.